Discussions with a Nobody podcast. As I record this, it is January the 4th, 2026. And before I get into the discussion, I just want to remind everyone where you can keep track of us on all of our social media. You can get us on our link tree, Discussions with a Nobody. That'll get you all of the links to all of our locations, podcast locations, social media, and all of that. We do have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/@DWAN Pod. You can also get us on Twitter @DWAN Pod and Facebook.com Discussions with a Nobody. Thank you for checking out the show, for listening to this episode, and hopefully many others. And there hasn't been one in a very long time, 435 days to be exact. The last one being on October the 26th, 2024. And I didn't really intend on there being that long of a gap in the time from the last episode to this one. But here we are. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm also going to get into some other things. But for those who have supported me in my podcasting journey and my world, both here and on my other ventures, 3 Count Thursday and the Huddle Up podcast, I want to thank everybody for always supporting me. It means more than you know. And as I am now in my 40th year, yes, since the last time we talked, I had my 40th birthday. I really do appreciate it. I've been doing this for a number of years now. This show, the shortest time of any of the projects that I do, but overall, I've been podcasting for over a decade now, which is wild to say, but it has been a labor of love, and my hope is that I will be more I will have more intent and commit myself to doing more of these of this particular project. So thank you all for being here. So yeah. October 26, 2024, it was just a few days before the presidential election, and I gave a lot of thoughts about that impending election and why I was going to make some decisions that I was going to make, and I made those decisions, and I let fate play out, as it were. That's part of the reason. I'll be 100% honest. That is part of the reason why I haven't been here in 435 days because we know what happened. I don't have to spell it out. It is not what I had hoped for. And that began what has been a very difficult year plus for me. Because what happened in January, when there was a transition, everything felt very chaotic. And basically from early November through now, but more specifically, early through November through about the springtime, things felt very uneasy for me, scared, fearful, and look, not necessarily for myself. I mean, in certain ways, yes, but I am very aware that I sit in a place of privilege, so to speak. I'm a white guy, okay? So I know that a lot of things that are uncertain and potentially harmful, impactful, bad that are coming or could happen because of where we are, shouldn't really impact me in a lot of ways because, again, I'm a white man. But the difficult thing is for me, and I've spoken to a lot of my friends and family, is that I am an empath. I like when people that are important to me are hurting, it hurts me. It really makes me feel bad. And I have cried with people that I didn't even like plan on talking to and crying with. Especially in that time period, early November to late January. So that really was kind of the beginning of, many months of a really, really challenging year. And I'll talk more about 2025, in a little bit, but, yeah, it was a really, really kind of challenging period. So in that time, kind of the last thing that was on my mind was podcasting, beyond my normal projects, Huddle Up Podcast and 3CT, because those projects are like group projects. I have a team on both sides, both shows that, it's the weight isn't all on me. This show, this project, is me, is all me. And it's me sitting in my studio, with a microphone and a list of topics, and I let my brain and my mouth work together. But it does require a different type of work than my other podcast projects. So in that time period, it really wasn't an option. And then as 2025 began to play out a little bit more, I was dealing with, and I've talked about my anxiety, and my battle with anxiety and mental health, over the course of this project. And it was kind of the reason why I started this show to begin with. And as 2025 began to play out, unravel, whatever word you want to use to describe it, sometimes it felt more like the second one. I began to struggle with anxiety and depression more than I had in a while. And I've gone to therapy for, 18 years. 18 years, in the fall of 2025 was 18 years, that I started going. And, so I've always still gone, but it felt more necessary in 2025, because everything just seemed heavier. Everything seemed more serious. Everything seemed harder to handle and to deal with. So again, in those moments, right, wrong, and different, coming up with topics and things to sit down here and sit in front of a microphone for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, it didn't feel like it was something that I had the capacity to do. And that's another thing in 2025, this concept of, I almost call it like bandwidth limit. If you think of from like a tech standpoint, there's only a certain limit of, data transfer or users that can be on a particular network, or information that can be sent from point A to point B before the network has reached its maximum. And I felt a lot of times in 2025, especially I'd say for the first 5, 6, 7, 8, how many months in a year? At least about the first half of the year, that by the time just kind of getting through the work day, and I'd love my job. This had nothing to do with a love or lacking of passion for my job. But by the time I would finish work and eat dinner, and whether it would be spend some time with my wife, or grab dinner with friends, or prepare stuff for my other podcast projects, I hit the limit. And they're just the idea, the drive to put a different set of topics together, a different different set of show thoughts, and to sit down and do a show in a different way than I'm used to, just wasn't there. Because another thing too is this show I record. The other shows are either live or treated as live. We do video side, and the minute the record goes, it's as if we're live. So whether we're doing a recorded show or a live show, it's live, right? This, I'm sitting, there's no camera on, and you're welcome for that, by the way. But there's no camera on. I've at times stopped and edited something if I have botched a word. Full disclosure, I've paused this recording 2 times already just to collect a thought and or grab a drink of water. So it is a different process. It feels different for me. And then really kind of the last thing that and I'll get into maybe some other like tentacles of what 2025 prevented me from doing this show. And maybe it's an excuse. I don't know. I'll let you decide. It is an excuse. Maybe you can decide if it was a worthy excuse. But I didn't know what to talk about. Like, you've heard of writer's block. I refer to it, I kind of jokingly refer to it as podcaster's block. Because with everything else going on, all of the noise of 2025, I didn't know what to say. And the longer that it went on, the longer that the year went on, I felt like it was harder to come up with anything. And it was also harder do I address my thoughts on where we are? And basically, if you know me, you're well aware. You've seen Instagram stories, social media posts. If you've talked to me about anything, you know how I feel. And if you listen to the last discussion, you should already know how I feel. But I'm not happy. I'm not happy about the state of where we are in, now 2026. It sucks. It sucks. It feels very surreal that the first 4 was not the worst. That somehow this is worse. It feels a lot worse. It feels a lot heavier. And I don't know if part of that is because, like, the last 5+ years, almost 6 years now, have been, it feels like nonstop heaviness. We had a tremendous change in the world and how we maybe view ourselves, you view others, and in like the pre-pandemic, post-pandemic world, I feel like we're living in 2 different spaces. We're older, maybe wiser, maybe madder, maybe more frustrated, more aware. I don't know, but everything's more now, and that sucks. It really sucks. So I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know where to go from. And if you know me, me not having things to say, it's strange. I'll be honest, it's strange. But I really didn't know. I really didn't know where, to go with it. I will try to be better. I have no promises because, again, it's been 435 days. But I have some different ideas about some things, and hopefully I'll be able to do better this year. Another thing to kind of shift gears a little bit, one thing in 2025 that didn't suck is I have finally begun the process of improving my personal health, in the way that I live, in the way that I eat. There's been a lot of times, and I haven't really talked about this, with anybody outside of like my circle, because like the Facebook memories, the number of times I've seen a Facebook memory like walk 2 miles today, really tired, but it's the first step in a change. Spoiler alert, that wasn't the first step in a change. Well, I guess in a way it was, but it really wasn't. It was me having high hopes, and I got to post about it, right? Like we live in that social media world, and I'm just as guilty as anybody, and I'm not judging anybody because I do it. But I've posted way too many times that I'm starting a weight loss journey, and I'm going to change my life. And I never did. And my wife has tried to get me on board with her to eat better and live better and exercise, and nothing ever stuck. And then my podcast buddies, on one of my 2 other projects, they began, Weight Watchers, or just different things to change how they were living. And I had what I consider to be one of the most, kind of self-serving, selfish thoughts that I've had come through my head, because I was extremely proud of them for doing those things. But my thought was, if everybody is losing weight on that side, I'm going to be the clearly fattest guy in the group. And for whatever reason, that flipped a switch in me. But I still, I didn't set goals. I didn't set forth and go, I'm going to lose this many pounds by this date. And I didn't set goals, and I was intentional about not setting goals, because my thought going into it is, if I set goals and I don't reach them, then I'm gonna feel bad, and I'm gonna be discouraged at myself, and it's gonna derail. I know myself, and I was gonna derail any progress that I had made. So when I started doing this, I said my main goal is to be healthier. I was 39. I was just a couple of months away from my 40th birthday. And I said, if I keep if I keep going the direction that I'm going, I probably have a very grim future. And I didn't want that for my wife. I didn't want that for my family. I didn't want that for my friends. I didn't want that for me. But if the lights go out for me, I'm not the one left to mourn. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that's a scary and weird and morbid thought. And I want to be around for a very long time. But if something happens to me, then the people I love are going to hurt because of it. And if I can delay that as much as I can, that's kind of where my goal was. And also, as funny as this sounds, for my sports jerseys to fit better. I'm a sports jersey collector. I love hockey jerseys and football specifically. And for the last couple of seasons, as I've talked about on this show, big Hershey Bears fan, been going to the Calder Cup playoffs, Calder Cup finals, back-to-back years, 2023, 2024. Hershey was lucky enough to go back-to-back as champions. And every time I would put my jerseys on, I joke, man, this thing shrunk since the last time I wore it. No, obviously it did not. I got fatter. So I wanted them to fit better for when I went to hockey games. So I set like a soft goal, target goal in the Lose It app, which if you're interested in doing anything like this, this is what I did, and I have found it to be very easy, and I recommend it. The Lose It app, basically I set like a date and a weight goal within the app. Again, it's not a personal weight goal because eventually I would like to lose more than the goal that I have set in the app. But this is just kind of a starting point. This is where I want to get by this date. And it will take where you are when you start, and it will give you a calorie limit, a daily calorie limit, to help you meet your goal. So when we started, it was in early April, and I will be fully transparent. In early April, April 14th to be exact, I weighed 422 pounds. And where I'm at today, my lowest, December 15th, 366. Now, I did gain a little bit of weight back. Christmas cookies and treats be damned. But I begin 2026 at 374 pounds, 48 pounds down from where I was in early 2025. I am very proud of myself. I am very proud my wife is on this journey with me. And the reason that I think that, well, not that I think, that I know that she and I have had success this year is because we have been doing it together. So if you are going to attempt this, and maybe you're different than me, maybe you can do it by yourself. If you can, kudos to you, because I could not. But have a support system. And beyond my wife being a support system, my friends are. Because I also decided that when I'm going through this, I'm not going to like hide it. I'm not going to be ashamed by it. Look, you can see me. If you know me, you see me, you know I'm a huge guy. Huge. Not big, huge. So like it's not like I'm hiding the fact that I am obese from anybody. So I might as well be honest with the people that I love and I care about that, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. This is where I'm trying to go. And I just want to be healthier. And you know what? When you do that, when you're honest with the people you care about, they support you. They share in your successes. They share in your goals. They are happy for you. And if they're not, guess what? They're not the people that you should be sharing it with and having in your life. But that's maybe that's a separate discussion. But to everybody who I'm able to share these things with and who has been supportive of me over the last, 9 months, thank you. another thing as we roll into 2026, and this is very appropriate because I have undecorated my podcast studio. I have undecorated my office. And this weekend, we took all of the Christmas lights and decorations from out front of our house down. The living room decorations are still there, at least for now. But we are in the post-Christmas, the post-holiday blues, if you will. And it sucks. It's just cold and dark now. Like I said to my wife, like we're driving around, I said, I think that like another reason that I think January feels like such a long year, January is a very long year, very long month, is you go from, Halloween and trick-or-treating and, November, you have Thanksgiving and Friendsgivings, and you get together with friends and family, and then you can go into Christmas with the lights and the music and gatherings with friends and family and sometimes coworkers and people you care about, and you share in the joys of the year and the season and happy holidays and everybody's singing. You're watching movies I think this is the third or fourth year in a row I've done 25 Days of Christmas where I watch a different Christmas show or movie every day. And I incorporated some new ones this year. And it's just like, man, there's always something to look forward to. And I buy different advent calendars, coffee and beer and different. And you just, there's always something to look forward to. And now it's like the music's gone. The lights are gone. The joy is gone. And it feels like there's nothing to look forward to. And that's not true. I have very exciting things planned in 2026. But it's just, it feels different. I don't have something I have to watch every day. I don't have the Christmas music to listen to. We don't get to drive around and look at lights and, have plans for gatherings and gift exchanges and things like that. And it's a weird haze that I always feel like January is, and we're on day 4 of the month hostage situation, but I hope to find some ways to make January better. I just bought tickets tonight to go to a hockey game in a couple of weeks, and I've been to a couple of different movies this week. So my advice, I guess, and if not that you're looking for it, is find things to do. Keep yourself busy and active, and I think that'll help us get through this month. But one of the things I've been doing is going to movies. I've been to 3 movies this week. I'll talk about it a little bit, but a friend of mine and I went and saw the finale of Stranger Things. I took my mom to see Marty Supreme. Highly recommend that movie. If you haven't seen the trailer for it, is basically the story of a guy who is extremely good at table tennis. It's set in the early 50s. He has a goal to get to and back to a world championship, and it's just kind of the story about this guy's life. So highly recommend it. Phenomenal movie. Timothy Chalamet starred in it, and I could watch that guy do anything. He's fantastic. Great supporting cast. Highly recommend Marty Supreme. Today my wife and I went and saw Zootopia 2. Really good. Loved it better than the first one. So I do recommend that as well if you have not caught it. If you can get out into the theater. I love going to the theater too. I am very fortunate to have a theater, independently owned theater, just a couple of minutes from my front door. Couple other really good theaters in the Lancaster, Pennsylvania area. So really love going to the movies, and it's something I'm going to try to do more this year. We saw a Happy Gilmore. My wife and I went and saw Happy Gilmore in the theater this summer prior to Happy Gilmore 2 coming out. We saw Christmas Vacation on Christmas night. as well. And that's the thing, is like, I love seeing new movies, but I also love watching older, like, classic movies back in the theater, ones that either I've never seen in the theater before or ones that it's been a very long time. There's something special about seeing these on the big screen with the sound and the experience, as opposed to just watching them like in your living room off a DVD or a streaming service. I've also seen mystery movies, and what I mean by that is not a genre, but my local theater on select Mondays will do a mystery movie. So you pay $5. It is a movie that is going to be released soon, but you don't know what it is when you buy your ticket. We saw Sisu 2, Road to Revenge, and the movie Eternity. Very different movies. I saw those a week apart from each other. Sisu Road to Revenge, if you like gore, action and blood, you will like Sisu Road to Revenge. Not generally my genre of choice, but very good. There's also a Sisu, the original, that is on Tubi. So you can watch that for free if you want to watch Road to Revenge. Eternity, a little bit more my style. Kind of a new take on a romantic comedy. So I would recommend both. Eternity more than the other, but yeah, definitely something I want to try to continue to do more in the new year. Saw Stranger Things, the finale in theaters. My best friend Ryan. I'm not gonna give any spoilers. I will let you know that now. Not gonna give any spoilers for anyone who somehow almost a week later, or days later, has not watched it. First off, if you have not watched it, I'm giving you permission. Pause this podcast, go watch it, then you can come back and listen and finish listening. But just an absolute, to me, perfect finale. Brilliantly executed, tremendous work by everybody involved, and I thought it was a perfect way to wrap everything up. That said, I'm very sad the show is ending, because this show has already become it has already become one of my top 4, like my Mount Rushmore shows of all time. And I have watched it. Full disclosure, I was not part of the journey from day one. A lot of my friends have been. So I'm sure this being finished hits even harder for them, because I only started watching after season 4 was already out for like a little while. I had my friends Matt and Ryan and a few others were like, I really think you would like this show. I really they know me, and they said, I really think that you would enjoy this if you give it a shot. I think you'll lock in. So I finally did. Finally, one night, I'm like, you know what? I have nothing else to watch. I'm going to try this Stranger Things show, and it is easily one of the, especially from like a TV movie standpoint, one of the best choices I've ever made. But it gave me an interesting perspective or position going into this set of final shows, because this is the first time I was watching it, quote unquote, live. So on the night before Thanksgiving, when the first 4 episodes released, I'm like, I have to watch them now, because I can't get and I assume this is how you would do it like before. You would binge as much as you could, as quickly as you could. Because I'm like, I don't want to go on social media and have somebody spoil something. And I wanted that, like, kind of that thrill of watching it and knowing, like, wow, there's people all over the world literally watching this with me, in a way, right now. And I watched all 4 episodes on Thanksgiving Eve, starting at like 8 p.m. Eastern. And then the next 3 came out on Christmas. And my wife and I had gone and seen Christmas Vacation. We got home about an hour or so after the episodes dropped. We basically got in the door. Good night, babe. Love you. I'm watching Stranger Things. And I went and watched the 3 that came out that night immediately. And then I watched the finale. The air showtime was at 8 p.m. 8:20 after previews. But 8 p.m. on New Year's Eve closed out the show. And it was just perfect. I just thought it wrapped things up in such a brilliant way. And maybe at a time in a couple of months or so, my friends and I will sit down maybe on this show and talk about it more and discuss more things about the show and what we liked, didn't like, etc. But again, I don't want to spoil anything yet. I will say I don't really understand the backlash of some of the early episodes in this season, because the way I have always perceived this show is not only do you have the quote unquote sci-fi aspect of it that's so important and critical to the show, obviously, but like the characters and their relationships with themselves and each other, and in a way with all of us watching it, is such a critical part to the success of the show that I don't really understand why character development in this season, that if you really think about it, made sense. And if you listen to the words that they said and the why that they said them, it made sense and why it had to happen. I just don't understand the backlash. Besides, in my opinion, what was just assholes being assholes. So in 2026, stop being an asshole. Now they have announced there's a spin-off animated series that's set between like seasons 2 and 3 that's coming out later this year. Heard some kind of rumors or spoilers that there will be a spin-off of sorts. And I'm happy about it. I'm not ready to say goodbye to this world. And I get that, like, the characters, a lot of the characters from this specific show and are finished. Like, they will not be a part of spin-offs. Now the animated series is this universe. But like the Duffer Brothers have said, like, there'll be a spin-off, but it won't feature like the original cast. And I'm fine with that. But I still want to kind of live in this Stranger Things world for as long as possible, because it's how much I truly have loved it. And want to kind of get the ability to again live it in real time, which I didn't up until this season for this one. Another thing, like, over the last couple of years and I've talked about this on this show, that I've learned and grown to love and love more, is Disney. And I, Big Jim, of Discussions with the Nobody, 3 Count Thursday, and Hello Podcast, am a Disney adult. I am not ashamed of this. In fact, I am proud of it. And I've seen, like, social media videos of people, like, trying to make fun of Disney adults and say that it's weird, especially if you don't have kids. Like, no, stop. Don't yuck people's yum. That's another thing in 2026. Don't yuck people. If people are doing something that they enjoy and brings them joy and everything in this world that sucks ass so much, and it's not harming anybody, don't try to deter them. Like, if they are harming themselves, they're harming somebody else, determine if it's safe to step in or if there's a good way to step in. That's fine. If they're not hurting you or hurting themselves or hurting anybody else, let them do it. Sorry, off my soapbox. But it's been almost 2 years since that trip that like changed my life. And I think about that trip regularly. And since that trip, it's like, okay, when can we go back? When can we? I want to go back and experience it again. I want to go back and experience more. I want to, now that I've seen it and lived it and done a Disney trip, because going into it, I had no clue what to expect. I didn't know how to navigate the website and the map, and I didn't know anything of what I wanted to do, with the exception of play golf with my friend Mike and build a lightsaber in the Star Wars land. I didn't know anything else that I wanted to do. Now I literally have a list of things that I want to do, and it literally changed my life. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, on a daily basis, I will listen to some form of like Disney music. There's times at work, like there's these channels that have like instrumental Disney stuff that I listen to just as kind of background music while I work. My wife and we watch like a Disney food blog and other Disney videos daily, like borderline obsessed. Not in a like it's distracting me from my work and being a functional human being obsessed, but it is something that I've become a daily passion. I have multiple Disney t-shirts. Like there was a time in my life where I just pretty much my entire drawers were filled with wrestling t-shirts, and the number of wrestling t-shirts that I have and wear has been dwindling, and there's more sports, and Disney has filled in the gaps, and I just love it. And I still joke, my wife and I still joke with friends of ours that she truly thought when we went there in 2024, she thought it was going to be the last Disney trip that she was going to make. She's been there multiple times with friends and family, but she did not think that I was going to go down there and love it and embrace it and want to keep going back. And yet here we are. And we are, barring any unforeseen thing between now and then, going back at the end of November this year. So I'm very excited and looking forward to that. I've also been making my way through a lot of Disney movies that I've never watched. And I recommend, if you're a Disney person, to sit down or brace yourselves when I say some of the movies that I have never watched before, but I have in the past 2 years. The Cars series, The Incredibles, the Frozen 1 and 2. I don't remember if I ever saw Lady and the Tramp when I was a kid, but my wife and we watched that. She has seen all of these. But I have finally caught up to that. I have a huge list of all like the Disney animated and Pixar and the live action like remakes. And I'm slowly but surely making my way through all of them. Again, just part of that wanting to embrace the Disney world, for lack of a better phrase, as much as possible. I don't just watch Disney stuff. Like I am capable. I mean, I've just talked about my love of Stranger Things. I'm a sports and wrestling guy, so there's that as well. But I've been catching up on different things in the non-Disney content world. Again, something like Stranger Things that I have finally, and this is over a much longer period of time, catching up on after friends suggesting it for years. My wife and I are finally watching through The Office. Now we put it on the back burner during the Christmas season for my 25 days of Christmas, but I'm like halfway through season 7 of The Office. No, we have not seen Michael leave yet. I know that's coming. And have absolutely loved it. And we'll look to go back and rewatch some episodes from time to time, and make that kind of I can go back and revisit this. Like I go back to Big Bang Theory or How I Met Your Mother, or, Boy Meets World, Home Improvement, any shows that I've loved in the past. Ted Lasso getting a season 4. Even though the original ended perfectly, and when I say perfectly, I mean perfectly. I am so excited that they are adding another season or more to this universe, because it brings me joy. I have watched the 3 seasons of Ted Lasso 10 times, and it still brings me joy to watch it. I literally will find myself watching it with a smile on my face, because it to me, it feels like joy bottled up in a television program. So I am so excited for that to come out whenever it does. Letterkenny, a show that I've loved, has come and gone. They've closed the book on that. But Shoresy, which is a Letterkenny spinoff, I'm working on getting caught up on Shoresy. But like now, like the problem is there's so many things to watch on so many different platforms that I never know where to go. Like I got to watch the Charlie Brown Christmas this year. I got a 3-month trial of Apple TV Plus. I'm like 3 weeks into the 3-month trial. I have not watched anything on it. I've gotten suggestions. And it's like, first off, where's the time? Second off, we're watching Stranger Things now, and we still want to go back to The Office, and I guess I need to find things to watch on here now if I have it for 3 months. It feels like a lot. Maybe after football season's over, I'll have a little bit more time for more content things, and I'll try to update on that as well. Last thing before I close up. We are in a new year. Happy New Year, by the way. And I could not be happier that 2025 is gone. I was elated that 2025 is over. And look, I think I got closer to my friends and family in 2025. I lost, around 50 pounds in 2025. I set the framework for what I hope to be able to continue improving my life and my health moving out of 2025. But overall, it sucked. It sucked. And I don't need to try to jazz it up, and I'm not going to try and jazz it up. I'm not going to insult anybody who hears these words and anyone who's still with me at the 47-minute mark. It sucked. I talked about the personal issues and the anxiety issues. And our society and our world and our country, and it sucks. And I'm sorry, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. Things are more expensive. We're now at a war that nobody asked for. You can get into the muck of what side of the political fence you sit on, and there can be disagreements there. But I know a lot of people on both sides, and I know there's people on both sides that are not happy, because what we have is not what anybody was promised. Like, I wish I was wrong. I wish I was wrong. But this is what nobody was promised. And it sucks. And I've talked on this program about my father spending time in prison, and this year that he had a minor parole violation. I will not go into the specifics of it. People in my life that know about it, they know. But there wasn't anything, it wasn't a crime, but it was a parole violation, and it literally, it came out of nowhere, and He was gone for like 4.5 months. And that, on top of everything else, made 2025 the worst. The worst. My wife and I, she's listened to him for over 20 years. I've listened to him now for almost a decade. The President Steve Show, WMMR in Philadelphia. And it was Preston and Steve, Casey, Nick, Kathy, and Marissa. Early middle of 2025, it was announced that WMMR, Beasley, the parent company of WMMR, would not be renewing Kathy's contract, and she was going to be off the show. And that was shocking and horrible and sad and crushing, because it's like an extended family that you listen to on a daily basis. They have 3+ hours of content per day. I listen to them every day. And I've done that for a decade. For some people, they've done it for 2+ decades, like my wife. And when I heard about it, it was in the morning. Like I had to take a break from work, and my wife and I we both work from home, and we sat in our living room crying about a person on a radio show. And because it's not just a radio show, it's like an extended family. And then later in the year, Nick, who was a producer and on-air talent on the show, announced that he would be leaving the show. And then also, a little bit before Nick announced he would be leaving the show, longtime radio DJ at WMMR, Pierre Robert, died suddenly. He didn't show up for work, and they found him at his home. And I didn't listen to WMMR just as a station regularly. I listened to the Preston Steve podcast, but every day they did what they called the crossovers. The end of Preston Steve, as Pierre was coming on the air, he would come in and talk to them for 5 to 10 minutes. And he just had this classic radio voice. And when he passed, my wife and I were just crying and so sad, because he seemed like such a good person, and he would just do things for people, and he was charitable. And it's like, man, in such a dark year, to lose pieces of entertainment from your life, and to lose people from the world. And I know it happens every day. But people that you hear on a radio every day that are so good, just good people, to lose them, I'm like, man, the world needs more Pierre Roberts. The world needs more good people doing good things. And in a year where I struggled with so much anxiety and so much depression, and I'm watching just the daily dumpster fire around us, and I'm having to deal with the ramifications of, once again, my father is incarcerated, and worrying about, is he safe, and worrying about what's next for him, and then to lose just good people, and to lose pieces of an entertainment show that brings you joy. And then that's the thing, like in a year like last year, finding joy, searching for and finding joy in places and things, and whether it's a TV show, a radio program, a chocolate bar, a slice of pizza, time with friends, time with family. You look for these little moments of joy, and some of those moments of joy every day for me is listening to Preston Steve, and then you pull pieces away from that, and you hear this calming, soothing, quirky radio voice of Pierre Robert at the end of the show as it's wrapping up your daily podcast. And now he's gone. And what sucks is this person that gave so much of himself and time and money and things to charitable organizations and to the people of Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. That's what the world needs more of. We have so much bad, we need more good. So it just sucked. It just sucked. So I'm going to try, and as I transition towards now in 2026, and I know I've been rambling for like an hour, so thank you for being with me if you're still with me. But as we go into 2026, like I'm going to try to be Pierre-like in my daily life, and to do things for people, whether it's if I can spare it. You know, take things to a shelter, like if people need coats or blankets or food banks, or even if it's just something like holding the door for somebody, or if you see somebody struggling with picking up a piece of paper or trash or receipt on the ground, help them out. Help people around us. Because ultimately, like that's all we have. We have our friends, we have our family, and then we have our community. And if you can help in the small, maybe that'll eventually change the big. But at least in the area where you are and the people that you are around, maybe that'll make a difference. And, you know, I said, like, don't yuck on people's yum. And things I've mentioned a couple of things that just popped up into my head, but I know it's hard and I struggle with it myself very much. But if we can try to find the good, live in joyful moments when they're there, live in those happy moments when they're there. Like I said, even if it's a Hershey Kiss, you know, a Sour Patch Kid, a bag of popcorn at the movies, and you just check out for a couple hours. It's okay. It's okay. I think we'll be okay. I'm going to wrap up there. Facebook.com, Discussions with the Nobody. Twitter, at DWAN Pod. YouTube, at DWAN Pod. You can also get our link tree, Discussions with a Nobody on Linktree. That'll get you connected to all the podcast platforms. We're on all podcast platforms. If there's something you want to hear me ramble about, hit me up on any of the social channels. I'd appreciate that as well. Give some feedback. Share the show with somebody. If you enjoyed it, share it with somebody you think might as well, and encourage them to do the same. And I hope it's not going to be another 435 days until I talk to you. But until I talk to you again, please have a great day and do something nice for somebody. They would appreciate it. Take care.